The Syrian regime appears to be giving some ground, at least diplomatically. The foreign minister, Walid al-Moualem, has just held a press conference in Moscow with his Russian counterpart. Now, he said his government supports the international peace conference known as Geneva II. He also says he's given Russia, Syria's biggest ally, plans for a ceasefire in Aleppo, where fighting has been raging for months. Al-Moualem went on to suggest the regime would be interested in a prisoner swap if the rebels cooperate. Let's hear from both men now.
Taking into account the role of the Russian Federation in ending the bloodshed in Syria, as well as our trustworthy relations, I have handed Minister Lavrov today a plan of security measures in Aleppo. In that regard, I asked Minister Lavrov to use his contacts to implement this plan and to establish a specific time when all military actions in this area should be ceased. I also informed Minister Lavrov about our fundamental position to agree to an exchange of prisoners in Syrian prisons with those captured by the other side. In that regard, we are ready to exchange the lists and to work out an arrangement about how to achieve all of that.
We want the upcoming conference to put an end to the bloodshed and ensure that Syria does not become a hotbed of terrorism. We hope that an agreement will be reached whereby peace is established and all ethnic groups in the country have equal rights.
Well, let's go to Moscow now. Paul Brennan's been monitoring those talks for us. And Paul, it seems on the face of it that these talks have yielded some positive results, an offer of a possible ceasefire in Aleppo and a prisoner exchange.
Yeah, it's intriguing, frankly, Shuli, and I think that the Russians and the Syrians are being rather clever about this. Essentially, they are driving the agenda. They're coming forward with proposals that, frankly, no one can disagree with. A ceasefire, who can disagree with that? The delivery of humanitarian aid, prisoner swaps. These are proposals that, on the face of it, are coming from the Syrian government. But here's the problem. When they go to Geneva II, the Syrian opposition doesn't really want to deal with the Syrian government. They don't know part in a future Syria for the Syrian government. And so it's quite clever, I think, of the Syrian foreign minister to come here to Moscow and offer these kind of proposals which, on the face of it, no one can disagree with, because that effectively drives the agenda and means that the Syrian government puts itself at the centre of the future of Syria.
Now, I know the Iranian foreign minister is also in town. When we look ahead to the Geneva II conference, there's been a lot of talk about whether Iran would also attend. Are we any clearer on that?
Now, this is, well, certainly Russia would like to see Iran attend. And, you know, analysts here have come to the inescapable conclusion, despite denials from Sergey Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, that there's a very clear Tehran, Moscow, Damascus axis forming here. The three allies, very close allies, were all in town together here in Moscow on Thursday night. Sergey Lavrov, the Iranian foreign minister, and the Syrian foreign minister, all in the same room together, effectively agreeing a united strategy ahead of the Geneva talks. I mean, Sergey Lavrov denies that there's some kind of three-party plan on the table, but that's very much what we would expect moving forward to Geneva II. And I think what they're doing is enjoying the confidence that they have from having a united position on what they see as the future for Syria, in stark contrast to the Syrian opposition meeting in Istanbul starting today, Friday, who are in a certain amount of uncertainty, disarray, some people say, uncertain as to whether they'll even attend Geneva II. It is a real contrast between the confidence and the authority that Moscow and Syria, the Syrian foreign minister, have been having here in Moscow, compared to what it seems to be going to play out in Istanbul later today.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what comes out of Istanbul. We're going to get some live reaction from there a little later on. Paul, thanks very much indeed for that.